Salary Day and the Path to Wealth. 9 strategies to transform your salary into wealth. There's a moment in the month that defines many people's financial future. The moment the salary lands in the account. For some, this money arrives as relief. Finally, there's enough to pay rent, bills, food, transportation, some leisure, and maybe settle something left pending. But a few days later, the feeling of relief disappears. The balance starts to drop, the credit card starts to weigh again, new expenses appear, and the person realizes they're once again waiting for the next payment. This cycle seems normal, but it's dangerous. Because when salary only serves to pay bills and consume, it never transforms into wealth. It comes in, circulates, and leaves. The next month, everything starts over again. Develop a wealth mindset. The first strategy is to develop a wealth mindset. Before talking about investments, real estate, businesses, leverage, or opportunities, it's necessary to understand one simple thing. The way you think about money determines the way you use money. Many people receive their salary and immediately think about consumption. They think about what they're going to buy, where they're going to go out, what they're going to put on installments, which desire they're going to fulfill, or what comfort they're going to bring to the present. And there's nothing wrong with living well, but there's a problem when the entire salary is used just to satisfy the now. Because money that is entirely consumed doesn't build a future. The wealth mindset begins when you look at your salary and ask, how can I make part of this money work for me? That question changes everything. The person who thinks only as a consumer asks, what can I buy with this money? The person who begins to think as a builder asks, how can I use this money to create more income, more security, and more freedom? That's the difference between working for money and learning to make money work for you. According to Robert Kiyosaki, many people stay stuck because they only live trading time for money. They work, receive, spend, and go back to work to repeat the same cycle. But whoever develops a wealth mindset starts looking for assets. Assets are things that can put money in your pocket or increase your wealth over time. It can be an investment, a property that generates rent, a small business, a digital product, a skill that generates income, a stake in companies, or any structure that produces cash flow. The change begins when you decide that part of your salary will no longer be used just for consumption. Part of it needs to be directed toward building. Maybe at first it will be little. Maybe you can't invest much. Maybe you're still organizing debts, learning about money, or building your foundation. But the main point is to change direction, because whoever waits to earn a lot before starting may spend years without starting. But whoever starts with little trains their mind to think like an investor. The wealth mindset also requires reducing spending that doesn't contribute to your long-term goals. It doesn't mean cutting everything, living without pleasure, or treating money with fear. It means noticing when certain expenses are only keeping you stuck. If something doesn't improve your life, doesn't increase your income, doesn't strengthen your foundation, and doesn't bring you closer to freedom, maybe it needs to be questioned. Before spending, ask, does this help me build, or does it just give me quick satisfaction? That question can prevent many bad decisions. Because wealth doesn't begin when you buy something expensive. It begins when you learn to use money with direction. A person with a poverty mindset sees salary as a reward for the month's suffering. A person with a wealth mindset sees salary as raw material to build something bigger. One consumes it all and starts from zero the following month. The other sets part aside, learns, invests, creates assets, and starts building freedom little by little. That's the first strategy. Change your mindset. Stop looking at your salary only as permission to spend. Start looking at it as a tool to buy knowledge, assets, investments, and opportunities. Because as long as salary is used only for consumption, it will keep you tied to the next payment. But when salary gains a mission, it starts building the path toward a life with more security, wealth, and financial freedom. Before moving to the next strategy, I want to make an invitation to you who want to take your financial life more seriously. If you want to learn more about money, assets, investments, extra income, and wealth building, become a member of the channel. As a member, you'll have access to more content to strengthen your financial mindset and keep improving. Besides that, you'll walk alongside people who are also seeking knowledge, growth, and a better financial life. Because whoever wants to prosper needs to learn consistently and be close to people who think about evolution. So click Become a Member and start investing in the knowledge that can help you make different decisions, build new opportunities, and break out of the same financial cycle. Invest in financial education. The second strategy is to invest in financial education, because there's no point wanting to turn your salary into wealth if you don't understand how money works. Many people spend years working, receiving, paying bills, using credit cards, making installment payments, buying things, and trying to save something at the end of the month, but never stop to truly study money. And that's a big problem, because money has its own language. While most people think only about salary, bills, financing, and installments, whoever starts studying finance learns to think about assets, liabilities, cash flow, investments, taxes, interest, passive income, leverage, businesses, and wealth. This shift in language changes the way you see life. Before, you look at a purchase and ask, does the installment fit my budget? After learning financial education, you ask, will this make me richer or poorer over time? Before, you look at your salary and think, what can I buy? Afterward, you start thinking, how can I use part of this money to build a source of income? Before, you look at debt as a quick solution. Afterward, you start to understand that some debts can trap you for years, while others, used with a lot of knowledge, can help acquire assets. That's why Robert Kiyosaki always emphasizes the importance of financial education, because a person without knowledge can even earn more money, but will keep making bad decisions if the mind stays the same. Money in the hands of someone unprepared disappears, but money in the hands of someone who understands the game can be directed toward growth. And financial education doesn't mean just memorizing difficult words. It means learning the basics in a practical way, learning to control what comes in and what goes out, learning the difference between asset and liability, learning how compound interest works, learning why inflation reduces purchasing power, learning how investments can grow over time, learning how businesses generate profit, learning how taxes affect your income, learning how to negotiate better and protect your money. The more you learn, the more clarity you gain. And when you gain clarity, you stop making decisions purely out of emotion. You don't jump into any investment just because someone promised quick gains. You don't buy something expensive just because everyone else is buying it. You don't accept any financing without understanding the real cost. You don't put your money into something you don't understand. You start thinking before acting, and that alone can already prevent a lot of losses. Financial education also helps you see opportunities that used to go unnoticed. A person without knowledge looks at their salary and sees a limit. A person with knowledge looks at their salary and sees a tool. A person without knowledge looks at a skill and sees only work. A person with knowledge sees a source of income. A person without knowledge looks at a property and sees just a house. A person with knowledge analyzes cash flow, rent, costs, financing, and return. That's the difference. Knowledge changes your eyes. And the best part is you don't need to learn everything at once. Start with 30 minutes a day, read a book, Watch a class, study investments, learn about business, follow serious people, take notes, apply one small idea at a time. The mistake many people make is wanting financial results without a change in knowledge. They want to invest but don't want to study. They want to earn more but don't want to learn sales, negotiation, or entrepreneurship. They want financial freedom but don't understand their own budget. They want to build wealth but don't know how to tell apart what puts money in their pocket from what only takes it out. That's why the second step is simple. Before looking for shortcuts, invest in your mind. Because knowledge is an asset no one can take from you. You can lose money on a bad decision and learn from it. You can start a project that doesn't work out and come out more experienced. You can make small mistakes, correct them, and improve. But as you accumulate knowledge, your ability to make better decisions increases, and that reflects in your money. You start spending more consciously, investing more carefully, negotiating more intelligently, spotting opportunities faster, and avoiding traps that used to seem normal. Financial education is the foundation of wealth building. Without it, you may even receive money, but you won't know how to keep it. You may even earn more, but your expenses will rise along with it. You may even invest, but might get into the wrong thing due to lack of understanding. With it, every salary starts to have more strength. Because you stop working just for money and start learning how to make money work for you. So the second strategy is this: invest in financial education every day. Learn about money, investments, real estate, businesses, negotiation, taxes, and asset building. Because the more your mind understands, the better your money obeys. And when your mind grows, your financial life starts growing with it. Turn part of your salary into investment capital. The third strategy is to turn part of your salary into investment capital. After developing a wealth mindset and investing in financial education, the moment comes to give a practical mission to the money that comes in every month. Because salary shouldn't only serve to cover the month. It also needs to build the future. Many people receive, pay everything, live the routine, and wait for the next payment. But whoever wants to build wealth needs to set aside part of their income to form capital. This capital can be used to invest, start a small business, buy assets, develop a skill, or take advantage of an opportunity when it appears. At first, it might be little. Maybe you can only set aside a small amount. But the initial amount isn't the most important thing. What matters most is creating the habit of treating part of your salary as a seed. A seed doesn't seem big at first, but if planted consistently, it can grow. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that the difference between those who remain stuck and those who start building freedom lies in the direction of money. If everything goes to consumption, nothing multiplies. But when part becomes capital, you start creating possibilities. So the third strategy is this: every month turn part of your salary into investment capital. Don't wait for leftovers. Don't wait to earn a lot. Start with what you can and give that money a mission, because salary that just passes through your account keeps you tied to the following month. But salary that becomes capital starts opening the way to assets, income, and financial freedom. Make your money grow through investments. The fourth strategy is to make your money grow through investments. After turning part of your salary into capital, you need to give that money an intelligent destination, because money sitting idle without strategy can lose strength over time due to inflation. Saving money is important for security, but building wealth requires taking a step further. This is where investments come in. You can study funds, stocks, bonds, income-generating properties, small businesses, or other applications that make sense for your situation. What matters is understanding that money needs to be placed in something with the potential to grow, generate income, or strengthen your wealth over time. But be careful. Investing isn't gambling. Don't put money into something just because someone said it's profitable. Don't follow quick promises. Don't get into investments you don't understand. First, study. Understand the risks, the time frame, the costs, and the objective of each choice. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that money should work for you, but that requires knowledge and direction. The intelligent investor doesn't act out of emotion. They learn, analyze, and start carefully. At first, your investments might be small, but consistency is what makes the difference. An amount invested every month with patience and reinvestment can grow much more than money used only for consumption. The fourth strategy is this: don't leave all your money idle without a mission. Use part of your capital to study and invest consciously, because money that sits idle can lose value. But money that's well directed can start building wealth, income, and financial freedom. Look for new opportunities and think like an entrepreneur. The fifth strategy is to constantly look for new opportunities and start thinking like an entrepreneur. Because after you change your mindset, invest in financial education, turn part of your salary into capital, and learn to invest, you can't stay still waiting for life to hand you everything ready-made. You need to observe the world with different eyes. Many people look around and see only problems. The entrepreneur looks at the same problems and asks, is there a solution someone would pay to receive? That question is powerful. Maybe someone needs help organizing finances. Maybe a small business needs promotion. Maybe someone needs a simple service, a class, a delivery, consulting, a spreadsheet, editing, a digital product, or a practical solution to save time. Where there's a problem, there can be an opportunity. Thinking like an entrepreneur doesn't mean immediately quitting your job. It means no longer depending only on salary as the sole possibility. Even keeping a traditional job, you can use part of your free time to build something on the side, test small ideas, and learn how to generate money outside the direct trade of hours for salary. The secret is to start small, but with intention. Talk to people who invest, study markets, observe trends, see which skills are being valued, pay attention to problems that keep repeating around you. Many opportunities don't appear as brilliant big ideas. They appear as simple needs that someone hasn't solved well yet. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to build wealth needs to learn to see assets, cash flow, and opportunities where most people see only work and consumption. So, don't settle. Salary can be your foundation, but it doesn't need to be your limit. Use what you learn to create new possibilities. Build extra income, start small projects, and increase your capacity to generate value. The fifth strategy is this: look for opportunities every day and think like someone who builds solutions. Because whoever waits only for the next paycheck stays stuck in the same cycle. But whoever learns to see problems as opportunities starts opening doors to a life with more income, more freedom, and more possibilities. Learn to use leverage intelligently. The sixth strategy is to learn to use leverage. Leverage means using resources that aren't entirely yours to control a larger asset. In simple words, it's when you use credit, financing, or borrowed money to buy something that can generate a return. But be careful. Leverage isn't a game. It can accelerate gains, but it can also increase losses. That's why it should only be used with knowledge, planning, and great caution. A simple example is a rental property. Imagine a person who has $50,000 and uses that amount as a down payment to buy a $250,000 property. They didn't pay for the entire property with their own money, but they came to control a larger asset. If that property is well chosen, in a good location, and the rent received covers financing, taxes, maintenance, and still leaves a surplus, that debt can be considered productive. But if the person buys without studying, without calculating the costs, and without considering risks like vacancy, renovations, and interest, what seemed like an investment can turn into a problem. That's why Robert Kiyosaki differentiates good debt from bad debt. Bad debt is used for consumption, expensive cars, clothes, trips, gadgets, and a lifestyle that doesn't produce income. It takes money out of your pocket. Productive debt, when well used, can help buy assets that put money in your pocket, but it requires clear numbers. Before using leverage, ask, does this asset generate enough income to pay the debt? Is there a safety margin? Do I understand the risks? Do I have a reserve in case something goes wrong? If the answer is no, it's not yet time to move forward. The sixth strategy is this: learn about leverage before using it. Don't use credit to look rich. Use knowledge to evaluate whether a debt can help you build assets, because debt without strategy traps you. But well-planned leverage, used with discipline, can accelerate wealth building. Before moving to the next strategy, I want to remind you of something important. If you want to keep learning about money, assets, investments, extra income, and entrepreneurial mindset, become a member of the channel. As a member, you'll have access to more content to deepen your knowledge and walk alongside people who also want to grow financially. Besides that, you'll be able to receive the free ebook and join our exclusive Telegram group, where the idea is to be close to people with the same goal. Learn more, improve, build wealth, and break out of the cycle of just working, receiving, and spending. Because whoever invests in knowledge becomes different from the majority. So click Become a Member and take this step to strengthen your mind, your decisions, and your journey toward financial freedom. Think like an entrepreneur. Even with a job, the seventh strategy is to think like an entrepreneur, even if you still have a traditional job. Because the problem isn't working a formal job, receiving a salary, or having a professional routine. The job can be important. It pays bills, teaches discipline, gives experience, and can be the foundation for you to start building something bigger. The problem is when a person believes that salary is the only possible path. Whoever thinks only as an employee tends to wait for orders, wait for a raise, wait for a promotion, wait for security, and always depend on someone else to decide how much their time is worth. But whoever starts thinking like an entrepreneur looks at the world differently. Instead of asking only, how much will they pay me? They start asking, what problem can I solve? That question changes everything, because where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. People need services. Companies need solutions. Small businesses need to sell more. Creators need editing. Professionals need organization. Families need help. Customers need to save time. And if you learn to solve a real problem, you can turn that into income. You don't need to start big. It can be a simple service after work, a class, a digital product, consulting, an online store, a skill offered to small businesses, or any side project that generates value. The goal is to create a source of income that doesn't depend only on your salary. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that whoever wants to get out of the rat race needs to stop depending solely on trading time for money. Thinking like an entrepreneur means starting to build systems, assets, and solutions that can grow over time. At first, maybe you'll still work alone, maybe you'll earn little, maybe you'll have just one client, but that first step already changes your mindset. You stop being just someone who waits for payment and start being someone who creates value. The seventh strategy is this: use your job as a foundation, not as a limit. Keep working, but start observing opportunities around you. Develop a skill, solve a problem, and create something small that can grow. Because whoever thinks only as an employee lives waiting for doors to open. But whoever thinks like an entrepreneur learns to build their own doors. Manage your finances with discipline. The eighth strategy is to manage your personal finances with discipline. After learning to think like an entrepreneur, you need to take great care of the money that already passes through your hands. because there's no point earning more, investing more, or creating new opportunities if you don't know how to control your own cash flow. Many people lose money not because they earn little, but because they don't know exactly where the money goes. They receive their salary, pay some bills, use the credit card, make small purchases, put one thing here and another there on installments, help someone out, go out to handle something, and when they realize it, the money is gone. And worse, the person can't even clearly explain where they spent it. That's why whoever wants to build wealth needs to have control. You need to know how much comes in, how much goes out, how much remains, how much is committed to debts, and how much can be directed toward investments. This isn't something for an obsessive person. This is financial maturity. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that money needs to be managed like a business, and in a business, no one can ignore the numbers. If a company doesn't know how much it sells, how much it spends, how much it owes, and how much is left over, it goes bankrupt. It's the same with personal life. You need to create a simple budget. It doesn't need to be complicated. It can be in a notebook, a spreadsheet, or an app. What matters is seeing the truth. When you see your numbers, you start making better decisions. You notice where you're overspending. You notice which debts need to be resolved first. You notice which expenses can be negotiated. You notice how much you can invest each month. You notice whether you're living above your means or building a safety margin. And that margin is powerful because whoever always lives at the limit can't invest calmly. Any unexpected event becomes a crisis. Any unexpected bill becomes debt. Any delay becomes worry. But whoever manages money well starts gaining control. It's not just about saving, it's about directing. Directing part toward necessities, directing part toward security, directing part toward knowledge, directing part toward assets, directing part toward growth. When every part of the money has a mission, salary stops disappearing without explanation. The eighth strategy is this: treat your personal finances with seriousness. Track your numbers, control debts, negotiate better, live within your means, and prioritize investments. Because money without control turns into confusion, but well-managed money turns into capital, assets, and financial freedom. Build wealth with a long-term vision. The ninth and final strategy is to build wealth with a long-term vision. And this point is very important because many people start out excited but give up too quickly. The person watches a video, feels motivated, decides to change their life, promises to invest, cut back on excess, study more, create extra income, and organize their finances. But after a few weeks, if they don't see a big result, they start thinking it isn't working. That's a dangerous mistake, because real wealth isn't born from rushing. It's born from direction, patience, and repetition. Even if the title talks about changing your financial life in 6 months, you need to understand that 6 months doesn't mean getting rich overnight. 6 months can be the beginning of a new trajectory. 6 months can be enough to change habits, organize debts, start studying, set money aside, make your first investments, and create a new mindset. But building great fortune takes time. Robert Kiyosaki teaches that the rich think about assets, cash flow, and financial freedom. They don't just think about the month's quick pleasure. They think about what that decision will generate in the coming years. That's why you need to set clear goals. It's not enough to say, "I want to be rich." You need to ask, how much do I want to build? In how much time? How much can I invest per month? What skill do I need to develop? What debt do I need to eliminate? What asset can I start buying? What source of income can I create? When your goals become clear, your decisions become stronger. You stop spending without thinking. You stop following any easy promise. You stop comparing your journey to other people's lives. You stop giving up just because the result still seems small. And you start acting like someone who's building something serious. The long-term vision also teaches something powerful: reinvest. When your investments start generating returns, don't rush to spend it all. Reinvest. Put that money back to work. Let the assets grow. Let time do its part. At first, the results may seem slow. A small invested amount doesn't change your life in a week. A small side income doesn't seem impressive. A first asset might not yet generate freedom. But every step creates a foundation. And over time, the foundation begins to support something bigger. It's like building a house. No one starts with the roof. First comes the land, then the foundation, then the walls, then the structure. Only afterward does the house start taking shape. It's the same in financial life. First comes the mindset, then financial education, then capital, then investments, then opportunities, then intelligent leverage, then entrepreneurial thinking, then rigorous financial control, and finally, long-term consistency. That's the construction. You don't need to do everything perfectly, but you need to keep going. There will be obstacles, there will be hard months, there will be unexpected events, there will be moments when you'll want to quit, but whoever builds wealth doesn't abandon the plan because of a passing difficulty. The person adjusts, learns, and continues. Because the difference between those who only dream and those who actually build lies in persistence. Many start, few continue. And it's exactly those who continue who start seeing the fruits. So, the last strategy is this: have patience, have a plan, and have consistency. Use the next 6 months as a phase of change, a phase to organize your financial life, study more, control your money better, invest consciously, create new sources of income, and develop a mind prepared to build wealth. Don't treat these 6 months as magic. Treat them as the beginning of a new financial identity. Starting today, you're not just someone who receives a salary and pays bills. You're someone who uses salary as a tool, someone who sets aside capital, someone who buys assets, someone who learns, someone who creates opportunities, someone who thinks about the future with seriousness. And if you do this every month with discipline, your financial life won't stay the same. Maybe the change starts small, but small doesn't mean weak. Small, repeated, and well-directed can become powerful. So remember, the salary you spend without strategy disappears, but the salary you protect, invest, and turn into assets can build security, income, and freedom. If this video helped you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to learn how to make better use of their own salary. And if you want to keep improving, learning with people who also want to grow, receive more content, and strengthen your financial mindset, become a member of the channel. Write in the comments, "I will turn my salary into wealth." Make that phrase a commitment to your new phase, because the financial future you desire doesn't begin when everything becomes easy. It begins when you decide to make better use of what you already have today.